The president had to take the power from the governor and federalize the National Guard. We do not know where and when the next raids will be. We have been told that he was going to go after violent criminals. It wasn't a drug den, it was a Home Depot.
I want to hop into this CNN segment with Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass in the wake of the ICE raids and protests in the city. So if you can, leave a like on the video. It lets us know you enjoy the content. It really helps us in the algorithm. And let's get right to the discussion.
If you dial back time and go to Friday, if immigration raids had not happened here, we would not have the disorder that went on last night. I will tell you that it is peaceful now, but we do not know where and when the next raids will be. That is the concern, because people in the city have a rapid response network. If they see ICE, they go out and they protest. And so it's just a recipe for pandemonium that is completely unnecessary. Nothing was happening here. Los Angeles was peaceful before Friday.
And this is objectively facts. Even when you look at the ICE raids, they're picking up people like shopping at Home Depot with their family and such. So they're hardly hardened criminals. But despite this, Trump is having ICE walk the streets like the Gestapo with full armor on, strapped up, guns, tear gassing civilians, deploying pepper spray and flashbangs. There's videos of them literally flashbanging nonviolent protesters. I mean, this is exactly what us lefties warned would happen if Trump tried to have ICE walking the streets looking for people to pick up. It would be mass panic, mass chaos, mass outrage. And if the Trump administration continues to escalate this, mobilizing Marines or federalizing the National Guard, this is only going to escalate what happens on the ground. It's going to be a matter of time till something like a firefight breaks out.
The issue here is state power and state sovereignty. And so we do not believe, and what the governor is doing is separate from what's happening in the city. But what was the reason that the president had to take the power from the governor and federalize the National Guard?
And make no mistake, it's because Trump's itching for this exact type of civil unrest to then go, oh, look at the liberals. This is a president we know for a fact mused about shooting protesters in the leg in his first term, mobilizing troops into the streets of America to do so. Now doing this, where you again have to understand a president hasn't deployed the National Guard, hasn't federalized a state's National Guards against its wishes or without being directly asked to by the state in over 65 years or 60 years. I think it's been like 65. And in the midst of ICE now, which is essentially a federal political police agency, a conservative fever dream that honestly shouldn't even exist. That's a conversation for another day. But under Trump, it's even doing incredibly more heinous things than it normally does, with people being disappeared for weeks, to death camps, detained, more. I mean, to think that the right thing to do in this moment is to send in like Big Bro, the National Guard, like it shows Trump has no idea how to de-escalate, which is probably why these mass protests seem to always happen under his watch.
Why were there raids? We had been told that he was going to go after violent criminals. It wasn't a drug den, it was a Home Depot. It was places where people are working. So what was the point of doing this? And then knowing that in a city like Los Angeles, and we had talked about this for a long time, that has a very sophisticated, long-term immigrant rights organizations and institutions, that if these random raids were going to happen, then there was going to be the danger of a backlash. And you add on to that the National Guard, and it felt like fuel for a fire that was unnecessary.
I do want to take a step back so we can realize how this only further highlights the stupidity in the overall MAGA immigration plan and just mass deportation and hardline ICE raids and all of this. Like, we know for a fact of those detained by ICE, nearly half of them have no criminal record. Another substantial amount after that, their only criminal record is minor traffic violations. Yet to capture these absolute non-threats walking the street of America, we've escalated tensions on the ground through the roof to where mass protests and unrest is happening, including going into sanctuary cities like LA and sanctuary states like California and causing these riots, right? Where it's funny, conservatives pretend to value states' rights when it's things like, go, let us have our guns, but they don't care when it's Trump using the federal government to overstate sanctuary states and cities. But now, not only is violence breaking out in the streets, tons of infrastructure damage is being caused, but the detentions and the deportations, the arrests, all of this themselves cost what amount to billions of dollars in totality, all while again pulling out people who are at least half of them not criminals, over half of them no more than traffic violation criminals, the worst in the streets, and you're pulling from our tax base and doing so, as some portion of them undoubtedly do pay taxes. So this hurts our economy, and for what? For what? Somebody tell me the purpose of this, right? Because there's non-criminals being disappeared. The majority of them aren't serious criminals. To the extent he's ridding serious criminals and getting our seats safer has yet to be shown. And this is why mass amnesty will always be the right choice. It's more efficient, more cost effective. And Trump is just showing that more and more as the days go by.